Purdy is from Brighton in the UK, and his home group is the Spiritual Cartel, and he will be speaking on the fourth dimension of silence for 30 minutes. Welcome, Purdy. Take it away.
Hey, thank you so much, Mel. Thank you, Tamara. Thank you, Donna, for that beautiful introduction. And just thank you, guys. Thank you for inviting me. It's always an absolute pleasure and a privilege. I really, really, truly mean that with a whole heart. To talk about the silence and to talk about the difference in a guy that came in here not well. When we start, we have a moment's silence, and I love that. For the still suffering, for those in and out of the rooms, and how beautiful to think that at some point in the silence, you found me. Truth. In that prayer, that we do. And when I close my eyes in that moment, I feel it, and I genuinely pray for people to come in here and find a solution. Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. I hope you had a beautiful time. My name is Purdy. I'm a recovered alcoholic, and I'm a recovering human being. And like I say, thank you, Tamara, for inviting me here to speak with my family. So many people that I recognise and can call friends and spend time with, with this fellowship that saved my life. And that's step 3, that surrender of self and starting this spiritual journey of leaning into this energy, this power, this God. I had to be 100% convinced without a doubt that my life run by me was never, ever going to be a success. Of course it wasn't. That's why I'm here. But alongside this developing relationship with the one that has all power, I'm also 100% convinced without a doubt that the blood of this fellowship and those that carry the light saved my life. Truly standing on the shoulders of giants, and I mean that. What an honour and a privilege for a guy like me, a hopeless drunk, to come in here and I was a complete lost soul in the dark, to share space with my brother Young. 6 years. A guy that inspires me, a guy that carries a message, a guy that I hear and I feel completely and utterly lights a fire in my soul. Confirms to me that there's a solution. That's what it is. He confirms. And I remember seeing him for the first time there, right here, right now, in these rooms, on this Zoom, there's a solution. If you're brand new on here tonight, guys, I can promise you that you can recover. From a hopeless state of body, mind and soul, you can recover. Beyond the walls that we build all by ourselves, there's a freedom here, a new life. Absolutely, a new life. So full of hope, peace and serenity, and I'm so, so proud to be a part of this. Thank you. Thank you for holding the light. Thank you, Tamara, for being of service and holding the light. Mel, Donna, thank you to all those in their 12s, all those sponsoring, all those picking up the phone, carrying the light. Thank you, Young, for carrying the light. Thank you around the screen. I've got here, Bill, for carrying the light. Texas for carrying the light. My friends, Mina, Katie, so many people that I get to come in contact with every single day. Absolutely incredible. Incredible. You inspire me. Absolutely. Every single one of you inspire me. Completely and utterly. That light that you get from this stuff, that bright, burning light that glows inside me, which I feel it really, really does. As I clear away that wreckage of my past, I start to feel again. Like I've never felt before. I truly mean that. Like I've never, ever felt before. A real freedom from the dark path which I once walked, as I draw forth the deeper meaning and the words as I've learned in here from a beautiful big book, beautiful spiritual book, that grows with me and through me and grows with, it moves with me, forever moving. It describes so many things in that book, and I completely and utterly relate to it. That obsession of the mind, that allergy of the body. Completely no spiritual. I'm blocked off from. I can't differentiate the true from the false. I'm selfish and I'm self-centered to the core. Bitter morass of self-pity is in there. All the desperation of a drowning man. I get that. I'm trying so hard to stay afloat. I just can't. All the desperation of a drowning man. The 4 horsemen. Jaywalkers. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Another journey to the asylum for Jim. These words are emotional because I'm there. I'm there when I read these pages. I'm restless, I'm irritable, I'm discontent. I'm driven by 100 forms of fear. So much solution here. Bill said something, I didn't quote me for the exact right words, but a great clear wind on a mountain top blew through. I get that. I understand that feeling. We normally, for me, I spend most of my days crying. I genuinely do. But then, do you know what? They're tears of gratitude. I'm going to start now. But I smile, and it's so from deep within, I associate the feeling, the freedom, the truth. Spirit life is not theory. We have to live it. And it's here that I feel this fourth dimension, this, what we're talking about today, this silence of the soul. And it's away from the pages in this book that I get to truly experience this. You can't experience the experience. You can't experience this experience until you've experienced it. And I'm experiencing it. Right here, right now, I'm experiencing it. And that's all I've got is my story. I spent my whole life in the noise. I spent my whole life in darkness that I created, overthinking, fantasizing, entangled in this web of lies and these relationships. My head was always so full, man. I remember, I was debilitated from this disease, absolutely debilitated, screaming, suicide, get the noises out of my head. How beautiful in here with 12 steps. I get to have a quiet peace. I get to have a quiet head. It's funny though, thinking about that. I was sitting here earlier. I haven't lost my mind. I haven't had too many mince pies. It's a true story. I was sitting here earlier and I was, no TV, no radio. I was just here now in a place of love, not fear. I had a cup of tea and I was stroking my beard with my 2 fingers and my thumb. Just like this. And then I sort of stretched out like this and I could hear it. I could hear the bristles of my beard as I was moving up and down. And I promise you I have not lost my mind, but I'm listening and I'm smiling inside. That's a different life for a guy like me. That's so important. To be able to be here now, to be right here, right now, in that silence. I think, Bill was talking about that, the wind on the mountaintop. And after that, he says God comes to most men gradually, but his impact on me was sudden and profound. That's my experience. That is my experience. That's step 3, going into step 4. I felt it for the first time. I was a bit disconnected. I was making noise, lots of noise, as I love to do. All of a sudden, I can't do that. I'm thinking about that. And within 5 minutes, I've got 100 problems. That's how everything manifests into that for me. I've got one problem, and then all of a sudden, it's many, many problems. And it's drawn up with everything of the past, and I can't think about the future. And all of a sudden, I'm in that self-pity. And it happened in that step 4 process when I was starting to write down this stuff and go through this stuff, and I was just disconnected. Wasn't speaking to anyone, wasn't calling out for help, wasn't asking for help. I took guidance from someone and they talked about the steps, the living, breathing steps, and connecting to my step 2 and my step 3. Came to believe in a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity, hand it over to the care of God, Purdy. I got up. I connected with the metaphysical magnificence that is the universe, and I went to find the silence. I went to find a feeling, because it's all about the feeling for me. I got up from where I was, right here, in this flat, where I did most of my drinking and most of them, got up to all sorts in this flat. How different life is now from here, sitting here talking to you for now in a completely different place. I stood up, I live near the sea, I walked down to the sea and I went swimming in the sea. And I went under the water, and you find that silence. And I come up to the top of the sea and I lay back and I put my legs out. The water was freezing cold, but I tried to switch my mind off and just connect with, just to find a silence. I had a beautiful experience in that water. I came over back to my flat, walked over, and there was a little old woman walked around the corner. Total stranger. I've lived here for a year and I don't know. She goes, "Hello, darling, you all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine, thank you." So I talk to people like that now. I'm not too cool for school. I put my hands together and go, "Oh, thank you so much. It was a really lovely thing to say." And we're having this really lovely, human, beautiful conversation. And she says, "I see you and your kids play over here." We're having this conversation back and forth. And all of a sudden she goes to me, "I've got a beach hut down on the sea. I'm getting a little bit old now, darling. It's number 9. Anytime you want to borrow it, anytime you want to pick up the keys, total stranger. What if God was one of us? Total stranger. Anytime you want the keys for a week, for a weekend, there's a kettle in there, there's surfboards, you can go over there, take the kids, enjoy it. Anytime you want, knock on my door. I said, wow, thank you so much. But I remember coming back up to my flat, and that's when that silence come over me. What just happened then? What just happened then? And it hit me. And it hit me so strong. You know, my old mind started shrinking. You know, my heart was open and I felt this power. I really, for the first time, started to feel this power. And I was in from that point. I moved through the steps with this new, you know, way of thinking, this new, I'm all in, thoroughly follow the path. I'm into my step 9. I've got a heart full of love that the fellowship, that this whole thing gave me. And I go out there and I start to ask for the willingness in silence. Please show me. Please give me the willingness. And it comes to you. For me, it comes to me. It comes to me. I know what to do. I can get up. I can move forward and I can move through. I can speak to my abusers. I can walk down that garden path and I can have that connection. I can make that happen. Because I don't want to feel that pain anymore. If I don't heal from what hurt me, I'll keep bleeding over people that never cut me. So I need to break the chains. I need to break the chains that alcoholism is just destroying me and everything around me. I need to break those chains and move forward with an open heart, practicing these principles in all of our affairs. I walk up that garden path and I speak to my abusers and I offer myself as service to them. Is there any way I can be of service? Is there anything that I can do to help you? The servant. I like to be the servant. I truly do. The response wasn't much. I made an action amends in my mind that I was going to go back there and I was going to once a month and I was going to ask her for my service. I knocked on that door the second time and she answered the door and she went, oh, you again. This old me. I'd have torn that up. I'd have torn them apart for what they did to me. I'd have torn that place apart and I'd have put myself in a situation. But the love, the fellowship, the love that is in through my heart now, the peace and silence that sits within me as this spirituality percolates through me, I'm able to put my hands together and go, yeah, only me. Is there any way I can be of help to you? Is there any way I can be of service? Is there anything that I can do for you? And they said, no, we're all right, thanks. And I could turn away from that place and I could walk back out of that path. And I had this feeling that I get every single time from this beautiful thing that was deep set within me, that I'm free. I'm free. My kids, those conversations, all my kids are back in my life because of this beautiful program. I'm able to be present, daddy, today. I'm able to sit with my kids. I was able to sit with my kids at Christmas and play with them and be interested in them, not my plans and my silly ideas. I get to sit cross-legged with them. And I get to feel that energy. My ex-partner this year invited me round for Christmas. I went round there Christmas morning for a couple of hours and opened presents. I opened my presents with her and the kids. I terrorised those people. I terrorised her and her new partner when I wasn't getting my own way. When she left me and she left me for someone else. And a year later, after I'd spent 10 years destroying their life through alcohol, I terrorised those people. And part of my amends was to go round there to knock on that door, for her partner to open the door, the fear in his face, but for me to offer myself and to put myself forward and offer my hand and bring him in and give him a cuddle and say, thank you. Thank you for looking after my kids. Thank you for looking after Lucy. Things change. Things change. My mind was shrinking. My heart was opening and I felt the power. The first convention I ever went to when I was 6 months in. Cameron was sharing, Young was sharing. You know, I'm sitting around looking, I'm like, all smiling, nodding at everything they say because I feel it. Young said, I don't care if you're 3 months or you're 30 years. If you're on fire, you can sponsor me. We don't know what we say, you know, but it hit me like Hadouken. Hadouken, it hit me that hard. Then at the end of the clean time, there was a clean time countdown. At the end of that clean time, a new comes. I'm sitting there. I'm full of this energy. I'm full of this power. I'm listening to these speakers and I'm feeling this energy from this room. And then at the end, they do the clean time countdown and they're going all the way down. And then a newcomer. And there was one guy from the back. He was a young kid. And there was 300 people in that room and they were stood round and they were made a circle and they were locked in arms. And this kid was crying his eyes out and he ran down the middle and he picked up a big book. That's the stuff. That's the stuff that inspired me. That inspired me to get in my car, and I was sitting there and the name Spiritual Cartel popped into my head. And I set about from that point creating a fellowship I crave. You know, my old mind was shrinking. My heart was opening. I felt this power. The meeting grew and grew, you know, the solution from speakers all over the world. And I got to build this from this flat that I used to get blind drunk in, that the world was over, that I wanted to commit suicide in. From this place, from this platform, I get to build relationships with people all over the world. Speakers, fellow travelers. I'm forever teachable, hearing them, feeling them. And I start speaking my truth. I start sharing, you know, on meetings and my feelings. And from the feedback from fellows, you know, you start to get what I'm doing. It's like I'm dealing hope. We are dealing hope. We're hope dealers. From the darkness of a life before with absolutely, for me, no purpose whatsoever, that 12 step gives me purpose. My old mind was shrinking and my heart was growing bigger. We sponsor, we share, we practice principles in all our affairs. You know, my life's becoming quieter. My reactions, before it was just a tank. You know, the deadly sins, wrath, greed, sloth, lust, pride, you know, all shrinking now because of this beautiful program. And my default position is becoming still, becoming quiet, becoming silent. And that is truly magical. Who'd have thought, you know, who'd have thought that the answers are in the silence? It still blows my mind. That what if God was one of us, you know, that old lady in the beach hut, that carried on through this journey, through this experience as we move through. You know, you start to, like I say, as I shrink this crazy arse head of mine, and I open up my heart, I lean into God, I put my arms around my fellows, and we're at maximum service, the world starts to change. It really, really does. You know what, I went to, I started sharing. I was lucky enough to ask it to be shared at some Unity days. And there was a kid, I will always remember it. I shared there, and he came up to me afterwards and he put his arms around me. He was brand new in and he was so scared, man. And you could feel it off of him, you know, so scared. And he put his arms around me and he thanked me from the share. And he dug his fingers and I could feel God's grip. He was digging his fingers in the back of my shoulders. And I felt it right there. Recently, I shared at another Unity event, and he was there 8 months later, 8 months sober. And you see his face, it was lit up. These spiritual experiences that I get to see in all your faces, that I get to see in all the fellowship that I surround myself with in this new life. You know what? I get to see it all the time. I gave up all the flashy motors and all the stuff that I was doing and chasing and wanting and needing and hunting, and I gave it up for a different life. I gave it up so I could find this peace and serenity, so I could recover. I swapped my cars for a bus ticket. I get on the bus now. I got on the bus once and there was a couple of old people there and they're holding hands. And in there I get to see the truth. I get to see them holding hands. I get to speak to them. Normally I've got my hand leaning out a window, you know what I mean? I've got a bit of hip hop on. I think I'm so cool, you know, and I'm just, who's looking at me? That life. I'm sitting on a bus with a couple of old people and I ask them where they're going and they start to open up their hearts, holding hands so tight. They're talking about the little grandson that they're going to go and buy their Christmas presents for. And they're talking about how, oh yeah, and they're saying, oh, do you know what? We got enough for a cup of coffee. So he's only getting £20. We haven't got any more to spend on him than £20. This stuff, although it may sound crazy, I was so blocked from just this normal thing, this beauty that is all around us in abundance, everywhere. This natural world, this seeing God in other people, fellowship, whatever it is. These people were sitting there loving each other, talking about the most beautiful things. And I got off that bus and I feel full. I close my eyes and look up to the sky and it starts to rain and the rain hits me. I'm like, really? This relationship's building. It's developing with this power, with this energy, whatever it is. I walk to the end of the road. There's an ice skating rink. People are ice skating. I think about the old me. Look at them ice skating. That should have been me. I should be like that. I should have that. I should have my kids. Well, how dare she leave me? You know, this anger. It's driven all the way through me, but I don't. I order myself a hot chocolate. I stand on the side and I watch these people ice skating, and I've got the biggest smile on my face. How beautiful. I'm in Self. I'm traveling to a share up in London, a candlelit share. I'm in Self a little bit, I'm getting lonely. I get quite lonely, and I have to do inventory on a lot of stuff all the time, because that's how I keep this spiritual fitness, if you will. This is how all I can do is just try and hand it over in that moment. Not an action, a thought before it becomes an action. Every time I think something, I get into the silence. Ask God to direct my thinking. I'm sitting on a train. I'm traveling up to London. I'm going to share. And one thought turns into a million thoughts, like it does every single time. I'm alone. I'm traveling up to London on my own. And I see a woman stand up on the train, and her husband comes in, and they run and they jump in each other's arms and they're spinning each other around. And then I feel even more lonely. That should be me. Why do people want to hear me share anyway? Haven't they heard me enough? I've shared too many times. You know what I mean? To people, all this doubt, all of a sudden I'm heavy, and I'm sitting there and I'm being swamped, quicksand with, all these different thoughts. I put my hands together and I get into the silence. 6 and 7, step 10. I'm in 6, move to 7, have that prayer, talk to God, distribute it, change it. And I close my eyes, I get off at the end of the station, and I walk up the stairs of Victoria train station, and there's a busker. Busy London is moving around. It's moving around everywhere. It's fast. There's people on scooters. There's people in suits. There's homeless people. There's everything. The world's moving around, and I can hear this busker, and he's singing, "You're worthy of it all." Cannot sing. "You're worthy of it all." And his voice is so piercing. Distance. He's in the distance. He's shining like a light. All I can see and all I can feel is him. And I walk closer to him and I hear his words. And I look up the sky and it's turning to dusk. And I start to cry. And I start to feel this energy. That instant prayer answered. And I'm going, all right, okay, I get it. Okay. No problem. I go and do what I've got to do. And I'm on the right path again. When I get in the silence, when I close my eyes, when I speak to God. There was a lady on a train. I'm training to be a breathwork instructor and a meditation teacher, and I applied to London College, and I'm travelling down on the train to Brighton to do something completely different. And I got an email back on my phone, and it accepted me. And I went, the spiritual shiver. Ooh. So I'm sitting there reading the email, and I got the email that says, "We'd like to accept and we'd like to talk to you further about coming in." So I sort of went, ooh. I got this lovely feeling all over me. A woman sitting two blocks up. I don't know what to call it. Anyway, she was sitting over there. She went, "What was that spiritual shiver about?" Like, oh my God. So we start speaking. I said, "Oh, well, look, I'm in recovery and I'm trying to, I'm working hard to change my life around, and I want to be a breathwork and meditation instructor, and I'm going down that path. And I've just sent an email to someone and they just answered back." She went, "Oh, that's fantastic news." She said, "You know what? I know so many people. Here's my number. Take my number and call me when you've done it, and I'll be able to put a load of people your way. What if God was one of us?" I just think about all these things. I think about opening my presents with my kids, on Christmas Day. I think about, do you know what? I took the kids trick-or-treating. There's another one. Trick-or-treating with the kids. People around, busy streets, and there's a woman. And as I walk down the end of the road, she's sitting there and she's like, she's all in a day. She's like, I can just see it. It's like people glow, and I can hear now and I can see now. So I walk up to this woman and she goes, "Oh, I've got no, I'm sorry, darling. I've got no sweets left." "Oh, I love it at this time of the year when all the kids come around and everyone's, happy. And I look forward to it so much." You could see that she was on her own. And she said, "I'm so sorry, I've got nothing left." And she went into her house and she got me some super noodles. A big pack of super noodles, and my heart just wanted to it's like, wow, man, incredible stuff. I get to see the truth. I get to see the truth when I do this stuff. I get to see the truth when I sponsor people, when I know how it feels. I know how it feels. And that's where we are all uniquely qualified. I know what it feels like to have depression and anxiety and suffering and pain and misery and darkness and depression and all these things. to not want to be here anymore. I don't feel like that anymore. The silence has taught me that. This program has taught me that. So now I'm able to, and we all are uniquely qualified. I can turn that darkness to light. I can turn all that misery and pain and suffering into being able to help somebody. It didn't happen to me. It happened for me. It happened for me so I can be a light. So I can put my arm in the pit and pull you out and go, come with me. And what a beautiful experience it is. What purpose that we get to do this. We get to go on this path together, support each other and work through and help people put their lives back together. When I go to these conventions and I see kids running around, have a look over at me. I'll be crying my eyes out in the corner. That's what I do all the time. I literally spend my whole time at conventions crying. As I'm just so happy, man. And I genuinely mean that, to see kids running about. I work with people daily that have got their kids back in their life, genuinely, that have got custody of their children, that have got their kids back, that have just had Christmas with their kids. My sponsees, this thing grows and builds. How amazing, how magical. That's why I'm here. Surely that's why we're here. All of us. I truly believe it. I truly, truly believe it. I see the lights in all your eyes, guys. I see it. Life is quiet today. It's quiet today for me, and I really, really do seek that silence. I truly, truly seek that silence. It's a beautiful and wonderful feeling, and this is an experience you don't want to miss.